Whew. Okay, so this is definitely a different kind of video. I understand if you're just here for cooking, you're by all means welcome to change the channel and watch another video of ours or whatever, but this is something I've really been wanting to talk to. It's been on my heart for a while, and I've honestly just been scared to share it because it's more vulnerable than I'm used to being. And while on Brothers Green, you know, we pride ourselves on being real and really showing people how to cook and get inspired in a special way, this stuff is digging deeper, and it's taken me a long time to really dig out from the surface. But I wanted to share it with you guys because I realized on this journey that I've been going on, while food has been the main focus in a lot of ways on this channel, of course it's a food cooking channel, there's so much more to food than just the cooking. There's so much more to food than just the dish that you're eating. And so many other channels, you know, they focus on the food and that's beautiful, but to me, like, I feel like I can offer more than that. And I feel like I have less to offer in terms of just cooking and more to offer in terms of the emotional side and the sort of the ugly truth that comes up around that. So some of you may or may not know I've struggled with anxiety and severe depression for a long time. I also grew up with bad ADHD, and I didn't really realize that there was a link between the depression I was going through and food. And as I started doing deeper and deeper work, I started to see this giant connection to be like, oh my God, when I'm depressed, like the link to food, it's so there, it's so in my face, but I just wasn't allowing myself to see it. I'm like, oh no, it has nothing to do with food and the way that I eat, the things that I want to eat. But as I've been becoming healthier and diving more into myself, I'm seeing that link. So I wanted to share it with you guys. And you know, just a note about this, I think I've been afraid to share it because I feel like we have this huge audience now. It was over 1 million people, and there's so many people interested in different things, and I didn't want to isolate people, but I'm realizing like I need to do myself, you know, a service, and that's by being honest and by being real. And I think for a while now, part of the link with depression is feeling like I need to make certain types of videos for this general mass audience of Brothers Green followers to please people, but it's making me very depressed because I'm not really doing the things that I love. So in the past year, I feel like maybe I've kind of rebelled against myself and isolated myself from you guys a little bit, and I do apologize for that. It's just been a very confusing time in a lot of ways, transitioning life, moving to a new place. It's been very beautiful and awesome, and like I feel like I'm blossoming in a new way. And now that I feel like I've gotten over that like just really sort of dark time, I can start to share from a new place and say, listen, maybe not everyone's going to agree with this, and maybe some people want to watch other things on our channel, and that's great, they're there. I'm still going to put out many cooking videos, but I also want to start bringing in some of the deeper stuff. And I've touched on it in the past a little bit, but it's time to take that new step with me. So if you're someone that struggles with depression, if you're someone that struggles with some sort of just like some deep, weird food addiction, food connection, you don't know where it comes from, I hope this video is a little bit of a guiding light for you. Some of the things I'm going to talk about have helped me tremendously. I'm still working, I'm not perfect, I'm not coming as like the guru on the hill, no. I'm still working through these things every single day, but if I can just be that person as that guiding beacon of hope, that's what I'm going to do. So part of this is that last year, my wife and I actually designed this course to teach people how to break addictive eating habits and use food as a healing tool. But I feel like I didn't really share it with you guys because I was worried that you might think it was weird or might not understand it, might want to focus on food, but I put in a lot of time to making this something really special. And it's not a cheap course. I mean, it's $199, but just for this week, if anybody who does want to sign up for it, because I know how important it is to you guys, I'm making it for $30 only. It's a course with tons of videos. There's things from, you know, how to shop well in the grocery store, how to make food like from a place of just knowing and simplicity, but there's also a lot of like these different exercises that help me. Exercises like understanding what are your food triggers and what came up in different holidays, different birthdays. So the video takes you through all these things and helps you, instead of having to go through diets, helps you really understand why you have these addictive eating habits, why you might struggle with things in relation to food and how to overcome them. So if you do want to check out the course, this week only $30. Just click below. It's a beautiful course. I think you'll appreciate it. So some of the things we're going to talk about today are directly in that course. So feel free to check it out. And if not, no worries. You'll still get a lot out of this. So one of the biggest things that I realized is I grew up with a childhood that I thought was normal. I thought it was like this just sort of simple, loving family, everything was good. But I was missing some pieces of myself and I didn't know why. And what I realized as time kind of went by was that I didn't grow up with a lot of the same kind of nurturing and love that some people need to really feel connected and close to people. So what I ended up doing was shutting people out. So when I get depressed, what do? I shut the world out and I stuff my face. I did a video what I eat when I'm depressed, and what I eat when I'm depressed. I talked about it where I went to Chinatown and just kind of ate, and that was a big piece for me, realizing like when I get overwhelmed or depressed, I turn to food. I use food as this sort of like anchor to feel momentarily better, because for a moment you feel better. When you eat, it's like that, like the dopamine, whatever's releasing your brain, you feel good, you're eating this meal and it's like, oh, like I can just drown out everything else because all these senses are taking in. I'm using so much energy to smell the food, to taste the food, to break the food down, that I can kind of step outside of my mind just for a moment and feel better. And I thought that was good. I thought that was okay. But what I started to see was the reality is that I was just isolating myself more and more. I wouldn't talk to friends. I wouldn't share things with people. So I began to see that the link actually wasn't just the whatever was going on, but there was also this food element to it. See, I grew up because of this way that I grew up. I was using food a lot as a tool to self-soothe. And this might be something that you're familiar with. I mean, we all know like, oh, boyfriend broke up with me, I'm gonna be eating, ice cream. You hear that from people all the time, or girlfriend broke up with me, I'm gonna stuff my face with a whole cake or whatever. And we think it's just like this funny thing, but there is a connection, and people actually, when you grow up, oftentimes what happens is there might be, as a child, maybe there's a traumatic event that happened. And maybe you relate that somehow to food. So anytime something kind of re-triggers that, maybe you were verbally or physically abused as a child, for example, and your only way to have any kind of connection to yourself is to eat. So you start to connect those two. And what happens is whenever anything in your life now comes up that feels triggering, maybe someone says something and it kind of takes you back to that child, you go back to that moment and you need that thing to self-soothe. So you start finding yourself eating all this food uncontrollably. Some people develop really bad eating disorders, some people binge. For me, I want to say that I don't have an eating disorder, but the truth is I think most people in this world have some form of at least disordered eating, which means we have some kind of really weird relationship to food. Like in the case of me, it was depression and eating too much, or overeating, eating too fast. I saw that with my anxiety. Whenever I feel anxious, if I'm eating from a place of anxiety, I'm just like I'm just shoveling it down. I barely taste the food, and within seconds the meal's gone. But the problem is you want more because you don't feel satisfied. It takes a certain amount of time for your brain to realize that it's full. Your stomach is like, hey, I'm full, but it doesn't happen right away. That's why you can eat so much food so fast, and then like 10 minutes later, you're like, oh my God, I'm full. So one of the techniques in the course that my wife and I designed is to help you learn ways to really eat slow and to really savor your food, because when you eat slow and you savor your food, you're actually allowing your body to just be calm and just like flow and fall into this place. And I think a part of my depression, it's funny for me, it's like ironic because I think at first it was just depression and food, and now it's depression and having a food show, which is ironic. And I think a big part of that is feeling like I needed to be someone else. And this might show up in your life. Maybe you feel like you need to be someone to please people. I am such a big I say I'm a recovering people pleaser. And the reason I say that, half jokingly but also completely serious, is because I have this feeling inside and this desire that I want to make people happy. And that does also stem from the fact that my mom growing up, she things have changed a lot, and she's grown in many big, beautiful ways. But growing up, she had a lot of insecurities and issues with her self-worth, and she projected them onto me as a child. She thought that I hated her as a baby, even though I did not know what hate was. And these are things we've since talked about, but I didn't know why I had this sort of disconnect from my mom growing up. And it was like always this pushing away, and she thought I didn't like her just because I was a very active, excited child. I wanted to I didn't want to sit in her lap like the other kids did. I wanted to be all around and moving and hugging people and spreading love and tearing the house up and stuff and being curious. What she took is like rejection, or I have a problem. And the next thing you know, I'm 9 years old going on medication for ADD and becoming a robot for years and having to overcome that later on, you know, getting off drugs and stuff. And that's a whole different story. I did a video on how I cured my ADHD, which you can check out. I can put a link below that too, or just find it. But the point is, I grew up in this household where I felt like this disconnect from her. And my father, he'd work all day and come home and be very loving, and that was great. But because my mom was my primary caretaker, I felt this disconnect. I think part of me was always trying to please people and make them happy. You know, I didn't know why she was upset with me, so I would try to do things in the world to make people happy because I wanted that love. And I think, not even with her, but I wanted that love externally. So I felt like being this nice person who was always giving and giving and giving is actually gonna help and somehow benefit not just the people around me, but myself, because they're gonna like me and they're gonna be like, oh, Josh is this, like, he's so giving and we love him back. But it actually creates the opposite, because then you're not actually being truthful. You're not sharing the real truth of yourself. You're sharing, you know, this false truth that you think people want to hear to make them happy. So things weren't coming back to me in the right way, and I couldn't understand why. So when I started to realize that I had this people-pleasing side, things started to connect more. And so as you can see, and of course, if you do take the course, it's a 6-week course, so you'll learn more and more every week and uncover it. You're not gonna just take it all in at once. The truth is, it's a practice. Any sort of depression or whatever it is, it takes a long time to get out of, and you have to remind yourself every day. But with support, you can get help and you can completely change your life. To me, life is like this, you know, it's a slow build. You don't just have this, oh, lose 30 pounds in 30 days and you're good. No, the reason diets don't work is because they're actually not understanding the emotional side. And this is another huge piece of this video. If you're someone that is constantly trying to diet or to lose weight, you can't understand why you're eating all these foods you shouldn't eat. You know you should be eating better, but it's depressing you. It's like there's this loop I see so many people go through where they love food, they want to eat, and then they eat so much food and they feel good for 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden they get depressed because they're like, I shouldn't eat that, I shouldn't eat that, I shouldn't eat that. And the thing is, like, that feeds into the depressive cycle. I've done that a lot where I'm eating and I'm like, I know I shouldn't be eating this, but I'm gonna eat it. And then while I'm eating it, I feel like guilty. So there's the guilt side, which leads to depression. There's also the anxiety side. Like I said, when I'm anxious, I sit down to a meal and I am so like, I just wanna devour it because I'm not actually dealing with the feeling. You know, the feeling for me, anxiety shows up in my chest. And I know it very clearly now. I used to not. I didn't know I had anxiety for 30 years or so. Like the majority of my life, I didn't know I had anxiety. And when I discovered it, I was like, oh my God, I actually have a ton of anxiety, but I'm just avoiding it. I'm stuffing my face, you know? I'm just like eating. I'm just like running, working out, whatever. I'm not sitting with the feeling. I'm not getting to the root of why it's coming up, so it keeps coming up. So one of the cool techniques we do in our course is we help you figure out ways to sit there and to actually kind of be aware of those feelings and to understand where they're coming from and to eat from a place of peace, you know, and eat from a place of joy. Because even just that, no matter what weight you're at or what you're struggling with, health conditions or anything, but even being able to eat from that place of peace and joy, and I'm not talking about the like, oh, finally I got the burger, but like, what is that hidden thing that's going on in your head that's telling you it's wrong? Because even when we do things that feel right, sometimes there's this piece of guilt, you know, and it plays into it. So to be able to actually sit down and eat from a place of peace and love and joy, it's a very hard thing, but it starts to shift your chemical makeup. And here's another piece. This thing blew me away probably the most. So often in our society, we think about what we're eating, right? Like, is it healthy? Is it good for me? How many calories? What are the nutrients? Is it organic? Is it not? Or whatever the things are, we're thinking about those things, but we're not actually thinking about how we're eating it. We're not taking time to actually sit with the food and eat it from a place of joy. Because you could have 2 meals, they could be healthy meals, but if you're super stressed out and you're anxious or you're depressed and you're just like shoveling food in while you're at work, like typing on one hand, just like shoving, you know, that burrito down your mouth, it's gonna make you feel extremely different than if you ate that exact same meal from a place of just control and calm and peace, where you're actually enjoying it and you're savoring it. And there are lots of cultures that appreciate food that way. They'll have meals for 2 or 3 hours and they're sitting there and they're savoring it and they're enjoying it and they're around people and there aren't distractions in the same way. They're actually being present with the food. So again, the course Feed the Change is about getting you present to not just how you eat, but why you're eating in ways that maybe weren't serving you. So I'm talking a lot about the course because, you know, we spent 6 months creating this thing, and the reason is, I felt like with Brothers Green, for me, there's been this big divide. Like I look at my brother and I feel like and maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is a projection, but he has a clarity in terms of what he wants to do with food. But for me, food is a big thing that kind of came into my life, and music's always been a big thing. So I couldn't understand like, well, you know, the food thing is so big, but this music thing, and then I realized like, to me, it's just about helping people. Like I love doing these videos to get you inspired about the kitchen, but that's step one. And you know, sometimes people comment and they're like, well, like I miss the, you know, budget stuff or the stuff cooking in a dorm, and I love that, but I feel like we've completed that series. I've given you all that I can give you in terms of how to cook in your dorm room and feel comfortable. You can always go back and watch those videos. If you haven't seen them, they're there. Scroll through our videos, and we've got playlists and different things. But I want to be able to take those next steps, and I think I was afraid of sharing that, and it was making me depressed. I'm like, I'm not being myself on camera because I'm sharing things that I think people want. So that's leading into my depression. So then I would go and I would eat, you know, and I would eat too much, and I would just kind of isolate myself and try to work up the courage to do another video. And I'm just kind of over it, you know. I didn't know how it would go. I didn't know why I was depressed, even though I saw some clarity here and there. I was like, this is just not working, and I realized I'm just over it. And the truth is, it doesn't matter. Like, I love food. The reason I have, you know, this channel here is because I love sharing food with people, but I love inspiring people to change their life through food, not just through cooking, but like all the deep stuff. Because the way that we eat, my wife and I talk about this all the time. It's like the way that you consume food is the way you consume your life. And if you can't get that, just think about it for a moment. Think about like the way that you're eating food is so tied into the way that you're sharing relationships. Like we're consuming something, we're literally eating it. It's becoming a part of us. It's nurturing and adding to our physical and emotional levels of life. And I find that so fascinating because the people that just look at the food and the food porn and stuff, yeah, who doesn't love to see a juicy, gooey burger being pulled apart? But like, how is that really gonna help you in your ultimate life? So I'm here to connect with the people and take that next level for anybody that wants to say, okay, you know what, that's me too. I'm out there and I love food, but I don't just want to eat food and enjoy food. I want to feel great after I eat it. I want to wake up and have a meal that I think tastes delicious, but also just revives me, makes me feel good. And I'm sick and tired of having heartburn. I'm sick and tired of the stomach pains and the cramps and being stuck in the toilet, you know, and all the health problems that come with just eating too much. Because I promise you that most of the problems that you're struggling with in life are somehow related to food. If you're someone who's obsessed with food, especially, most of your health problems can be solved by food and through understanding the emotion that's tied to them. So again, that is why I want to make this course available for everyone for $30 just for this week. Maybe I'll extend it for a little bit longer, but just for this week, click the link below. Sign up. You can take it at your own pace. You get every week, it's 6 weeks. Every week you get 1 week to go through. And if you don't take it, that's okay. I'm not trying to sell this, like, I need you to take this. This has nothing to do with the making money side. This has nothing to do with anything other than I believe it will change your life. And the more people, there's the selfish side to me. The selfish side is that the more people that are, you know, eating well, understanding their food addictions, taking care of themselves, the better the planet actually runs, because obesity is one of the biggest, it might be the number one, but one of the biggest epidemics going on in the entire world, especially in America. And it's one of the leading causes of why there is so much struggle with the healthcare system and resources. To me, it becomes so backwards. You know, it's like people are eating way too much food that is destroying them, and so then they're having to go to the doctor and take all of these pills that cost a lot of money, going to hospitals and doing all these different things, and they're struggling so hard with that. And then they're getting treatments and this and that, and they're stuck in this circle, in this loop, and they keep eating. It's like, well, hey doctor, you know, I'm having heartburn. The doctor's not looking at necessarily what you're eating all the time. They're saying, okay, we'll take this medication, or this should help you. But the source is the food. Food is the medicine. And then on the flip side, you have all these people who are starving, people who struggle every single day to find food, but yet the world produces literally enough food to feed everyone twice over. And some people are eating way too much food than they need, and other people can't eat. So the reason we initially created Feed the Change is that anyone that signs up, if you pay the full tuition, and it still goes if you want to pay it, anyone that signs up feeds a child who's starving for an entire year. It only costs $91.25 to feed a child enough food for an entire year. So think about that for a second. Think about how you could be doing your part. And that is my selfish desire is to help balance the world out, because if you're taking care of yourself more, there's going to be more resources for other people, and you get to have a better life. It's like a win-win to me. Imagine not having to go to the doctor all the time. Imagine not having to struggle with the things you struggle with, because you can actually find ways to enjoy foods that you love, but eat them not from a place of stress, not from a place of anxiety, not from a place of fear, but from a place of joy, from a place of power. I mean, that is what this is all about, feeling empowered to make the food choices you want, not obsessing about food. So many people, and I used to do this all the time, a big part of my depression and stress was obsessing about what should I be eating? You know, am I eating this? Is it wrong? Whatever. Like, to be able to overcome that is a huge thing. So I hope this video has helped you guys out. Check the link below for Feed the Change. The coupon code is Brothers Green Eats, which will get you the huge, it's like $170 discount, $30 only, and you can keep the course for as long as you want. I hope you guys have enjoyed this so much. It means the world to me that whoever is out there listening, like that, I hope this video helped you, because even I can help one person overcome some kind of eating addiction, that is a huge start. And you can bring that onto someone else. You can bring your friends and your family in, and you can be the change in your world. So Brothers Green started out as one thing, and we're always evolving and growing, and this is just the next step. There's going to be so many more videos, but I really do want to show the impact that we can have in the world, and I'll see you guys soon.